Hello, everybody. This is a surprise for you. At Vallath, we were planning to give you this surprise. A 30-day net study plan. We will do a revision of all the topics in 30 days. We will look at a lot of amazing questions. And you will be able to read more based on all this. And you will have a lot of energy and positivity for the exam. What do you say? And there is another surprise. I am bringing you members of my team now. Today we have with us Ankita Ganguly. She has finished her MA from JNU. Ankita actually had studied with us at Vallath when she was doing her BA itself. Many years it has been. She was a very brilliant student and she passed CUET PG. Now she is the teacher of CUET PG. She got into JNU and now she is going to talk to us along with me. Say hello to our friends, Ankita.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to have this opportunity here and do this live with ma'am. So yeah, I'm feeling so excited and nervous, a bit nervous also.
You don't have to be nervous. They're all our dear, dear friends. Hello, everybody. This is a surprise for you. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. Everybody is waiting for the net study plan. So today we are going to talk about Greco-Roman periods to early Tudor periods. You should answer our questions. They are not easy questions. They are net model questions, very high standard questions. Okay. But it will help you to remember everything and learn more and more. As we all know, the discipline of modern English literature derives from classical antiquity, from the Greco-Roman period, when the Greco-Roman masters excelled in the arts and letters. They wrote brilliant genres, brilliant works like Oedipus Rex, and gave resources to future generations. So many later movements got inspired by the Greco-Roman masters. Now we have a great body of literature starting from the Greco-Roman period. World literature has been inspired. Today, as you know, in Net and Set, world literature is very important. World literature has been inspired by the works of these great masters. Today's literature is not only centered in Europe and America, it is all over the world. British literature onwards, all the Western literatures have been inspired. So before we delve into the depths of British literature in this net study plan, we would have a look at the works of the classical masters. But we are not only looking at the classical masters, we are looking at their modern reinterpretations, adaptations, and critical reception. Okay, so this is a very, very important area. Now, let me ask the first question to you. Do you know who is this? This is the lady poet from Lesbos. Who is that? Sappho. Sappho was a contemporary of our Homer. Look at this. Sappho wrote poetry, but this is not about Sappho's poetry. Look at this. If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho is a book of translations of the poetry of Sappho. It is not about Sappho's poetry, but translation of her poetry by a Canadian classicist and poet. Canadian poet, first published in 2002. Is it Alice Munro? No, Alice Munro was not a poet, was she? She was the first Nobel laureate, and Alice Munro was a short story writer. Her stories are set in Ontario. Is it Anne Carson? We have heard of Rachel Carson. Have you heard of Anne Carson? Maybe. Anne Sexton? No, Anne Sexton was a confessional poet from America. She cannot be. Then is it Anne Rachel? Anne Carson or Anne Rachel? Who do you think wrote this book, Ankita?
I think it's Anne Carson.
Really?
Yeah.
Ankita says it's Anne Carson. That is right. Ankita said it. Anne Carson wrote, if not winter, fragments of Sappho. Sappho wrote an epithalamium. Sappho wrote about her love. You should read about Sappho's poetry and then read Sappho's poetry. She wrote about her emotions, her feelings, her traumas, like a contemporary woman would write, right? Amazing. Anne Carson. Now, in Greek mythology, Argus. We know Doris Lessing wrote Canopus in Argus. What is Argus? Argus is another name of loyalty and trust. Oh, Argus is a metaphor for loyalty and trust. Who is Argus? Is it Achilles' best friend? Is it Odysseus' faithful pet dog? Is it Helen of Troy's handmaid or none? Who do you think is Argus? Ankita, do you know?
It was Odysseus's pet dog.
Oh, she knows it. It is Odysseus's pet dog, Argus. Dogs are very important in our lives. All animals, in fact. That is why today in cultural studies, we have animal studies. And there are lots of dogs that stand for some symbol or metaphor or some situation in literature. Do you remember, dear friends, what is the name of the dog in Rape of the Lock? Anybody in YouTube? Tell me the answer. Everybody knows, I'm sure. Right answers are coming. The name of the dog in Rape of the Lock is Shark. Shark is the name of the dog in Rape of the Lock. Right. What is the name of the dog in our Oliver Twist? Oliver Twist. In Oliver Twist, there is Bill Sikes. Bill Sikes has a dog. It's a very funny name. What is the name of the dog? It is Bullseye. That is the name of the dog. Once in net, there was a question based on the name of the dog in Women in Love. There is also a rabbit in Women in Love. So, why are they important? You will think, what a silly question. Why are they asking all these questions? It is because these dogs, those situations that are very important in these novels. Did you understand? So, please remember all these things. Okay. Argus is in Greek mythology. Did you know, guys, recently in Trivandrum, in Kerala University, somebody did a research. One of my friends, she did a research project on, she got PhD for it, on cats. Really? Cats. Who is the author who wrote a funny poem about Macavity, the mystery cat? Macavity, the mystery cat. Do you remember, Ankita?
No, I can't recall it at the
It is
present
T.S.
moment.
Eliot. Don't worry, I will tell you. It is T.S. Eliot who wrote Macavity, the mystery cat. Now you will remember, won't you, everybody? Very good. All right. Next question, ready? Ta-dang. According to Aristotle, he expanded the number of characters in the theater and allowed conflict among them. Aristotle is talking about another writer, another playwright. That man, Aristotle said, expanded the number of characters in the theater. There was only one character on stage interacting with the audience. This man developed it into two characters on stage, and he allowed the conflict between the two characters. This man was likely the first dramatist to present the plays as a trilogy. The first man to present a trilogy of plays. Who is that? Everybody knows. You are saying it correctly. It is not Anacreon. It is not Euripides. It is not Sophocles. It is Aeschylus, the father of tragedy, Aeschylus. Ankita, what is the name of the trilogy that Aeschylus wrote?
Orestia trilogy.
That's right. Aeschylus wrote Orestia trilogy. Orestia. Who wrote the Theban trilogy? Sophocles. Yes. You two babies. Sophocles wrote the Theban trilogy. Okay. Did you know, guys? Aeschylus also wrote Promethea trilogy. Promethea. But it is lost to us. We don't know some of the plays of Prometheus. But we know one thing. Prometheus Bound was translated by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It is there. Prometheus Unbound is also there by Aeschylus, but it is also a play by Shelley. It is not a translation of Aeschylus. It is a play by Shelley, Prometheus Unbound. What kind of a play is Prometheus Unbound? Anybody? It is a closet drama. That means drama meant only for Ankita?
Reading.
Reading. Drama meant only for reading. That is closet drama. Very good. That is correct. Next question. Antigone. Who is Antigone, Ankita?
She was the daughter of Oedipus and Jocasta.
Right. Oedipus and Jocasta had two daughters, Antigone and Ismene. They had two sons, Polynices and Eteocles. Arey wow! Somebody wrote a critical work on Antigone. Antigone's claim, kinship between life and death. Is it Julia Kristeva, Judith Wright, Judith Butler, or none of the following? Think about it, guys. This is a brilliant writer. You know many of her works. You know her concepts. Tell me. These days, everybody is talking about precarity in culture studies. This lady talked about precarity. She talked about livability. Before that, she talked about performativity. It is Judith Butler who wrote Antigone's claim, kinship between life and death. Did you know, guys, this Ankita is looking into a lot of amazing concepts these days. Kinship between life and death. Ankita, tell me about your research. What are the important concepts that you are reading about in JNU and after JNU?
Yeah, so my primary area of interest is political theology and the area of passions and emotions. So I'm mostly exploring the areas of St. Augustine, St. Paul, Marjorie Kemp, Julian of Norwich, and how, passions are ruptures in our flow of lived experiences and how they affect our formation of the self. And I'm also interested in autobiographies and life writing. So I'm also exploring that area currently. And modern critical and political thought also fascinate me a lot. And so I'm reading up Talal Asad and Sabah Mahmood. And, there's concepts of tolerance and censorship. And, in present world, like just now, Israel and Palestine are going through such tough days, right? So, and I think in today's world, there's relevance of these ideas like tolerance, censorship, secularism, religion, they're very significant to us. So, and I'm really fascinated how these concepts stay very theoretical concepts only these days, and we say something else and we practice something else. So I'm trying to look into all these negotiations and politics and dynamics of all these concepts these days.
Amazing. That is what you read in JNU, all these things.
Yeah.
Guys, we should also be reading all this. We should also be exploring new ideas and concepts. We know why tough questions are coming in net, because world is changing. So many new concepts and ideas are being discussed these days. We will all read about it, know about it. Yes. Thank you, Ankita, for telling us. Next question. The 6 volumes of this book talk about the peak of the Roman Empire. There is a mistake here. So this book is in 6 volumes. They talk about the peak of the Roman Empire, the history of early Christianity, the emergence of the Roman state, the rise of Genghis Khan and Tamerlane, the decline of the Roman Empire. Oh my God, so many things. Which is this book? Our YouTube babies will answer in a jiffy like this. Is it The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire? Is it Ecclesiastical History of the English Race? Is it Anglo-Saxon Chronicle? Is it Consolation of Philosophy? Boethius's Consolation of Philosophy. Which of these? Yes, it is the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. 6 volumes. Oh my God, what a book. And did you know, guys, it started publication in the year of American Revolution, 1776. It ended publication in 1789, year of French Revolution. Isn't that amazing? Do you know who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Romantic Ideal? The Decline and Fall of the Romantic Ideal. Ankita, do you know?
Yes, it was by F.L. Lucas.
Right. Decline and Fall of the Romantic Ideal is by F.L. Lucas. It provides 11,396 definitions of romanticism. Like this, you can all remember everything, guys. Don't worry. All right, moving on to the next question. Dash was the first great work of English literature which flaunts the comitatus principle of Anglo-Saxon culture. Ankita, you got to tell us, what is comitatus principle?
So I learned about this concept very recently when I was, going through some PYQs of entrance papers, and I learned that comitatus principle actually refers to the code of brotherhood and fraternity which was followed in the contemporary Anglo-Saxon culture and society. It was a method of conduct also in brotherhood.
You know, in Beowulf, what happens? Beowulf's father was helped by the king, Hrothgar. So, like a true supporter, or true to this medieval or the ancient concept, it was medieval concept of brotherhood. Beowulf is coming and helping Hrothgar. That happens in Beowulf, so I know the answer must be Beowulf. Do you think it is the answer? Yes. Comitatus principle is found in Beowulf. Thank you for that. Very good. This work, can you identify this work? Based on French prose romances, was printed by Caxton in 1485. 1485 was the year in which Wars of the Roses ended. That was the year in which Tudor dynasty came into being. Henry VII became the first Tudor king. Which is this work? Printed by Caxton in 1485. Is it Historia Regum Britanniae, 5 Arthurian romances, Roman de Brut, or Le Morte d'Arthur? Which of these was printed by Caxton? It is Le Morte d'Arthur, a work based on French prose romances. Caxton himself says that. Sorry, Mallory himself says that it is based on Arthurian romances. Le Morte d'Arthur. It is a collection of French prose, 21 chivalric tales. Or 8 or something, number is there. Yes, please look it up, guys. So, are you loving this? Did you like these questions? There are more. Picture abhi baki hai. King Arthur or the British Worthy is a semi-opera. Did you know this guy? Dryden wrote operas. But did he write King Arthur or the British Worthy? I don't know. It is a semi-opera in 5 acts with music by Henry Purcell and a libretto by John Dryden. No idea, guys. Is it true or false? Did Dryden write a semi-opera on King Arthur? Was it set to music by Henry Purcell? Is it a libretto? Is the libretto written by Dryden? I have no idea. Ankita, you got to help me with this.
I think it's true. It is true.
Correct. It's true. Dear friends, which is the book written by Mark Twain set in King Arthur's court? Mark Twain, Samuel Langhorne Clemens. Do you know, Ankita? You two babies will answer otherwise. The Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court. I did not let Ankita think. I jumped and said the answer, the Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court. I am saying all these nonsense in between instead of just teaching because it will help you remember. Okay? All this small talk and discussion will help you remember. That is why I am speaking like this. Okay? Otherwise, it will be very heavy. Okay, guys. Kazuo Ishiguro wrote a book based on King Arthur's court. Do you know the name of that book? Kazuo Ishiguro. It is The Buried Giant. The Buried Giant. Very good, guys. We are learning a lot, aren't we? Next question. Who among the following was called the Anglo-Saxon Milton? The Anglo-Saxon Milton. Chaucer, Caedmon, Cynewulf. Milton is a very pioneering early author. You are tempted to say it is Cynewulf. Option C, but the answer is Caedmon. Anglo-Saxon Milton, great man, pioneer. It is Caedmon. What is the poem written by Caedmon? Only one poem is there. Do you know the answer? Caedmon's Hymn, it is called. Caedmon's Hymn. It is a 9-lined poem. Caedmon's Hymn. Very good. The Dream of the Rood. This is actually something like this was already asked in that. Very good question. The Dream of the Rood is one of the Christian poems in the corpus of Old English literature. And it's an example of dream poetry. What do you mean by rood? It is derived from the Old English word road. What is the meaning of rood? Ankita, tell us.
I think it means crucifix.
Yes, the crucifix on which Christ is crucified is dreaming. By the way, did you know, guys, there are 4 manuscripts of Anglo-Saxon period? What are the 4 manuscripts? The Junius manuscript, the Exeter book, the Vercelli book, and Novel Codex or Beowulf manuscript. The 4 manuscripts, isn't it? You two babies, write in the chat box. Okay, all the answers. The Junius manuscript, Exeter book, Vercelli book, and Novel Codex. Very good. Which work among the following was translated by King Alfred the Great? Is it Pope Gregory's Pastoral Care, Orosius's History of the World, Boethius's translation of Consolation of Philosophy? Looks like all of the above. But Boethius's Consolation of Philosophy was translated by Chaucer, isn't it? Did Alfred the Great translate it? Socho. Correct kya hai? All of the above is the answer. King Alfred translated works. He also got the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle written. Don't you remember? Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. He also translated Pastoral Rule or Pastoral Care by Pope Gregory, History of the World by Orosius, Consolation of Philosophy by Boethius. Did you know consolation was a genre in itself? Yes. Debate poetry was also a genre in medieval period. Debate poetry. Do you know the famous example of debate poetry, Old English period? Ankita?
The Owl and the Nightingale.
Correct. The Owl and the Nightingale is debate poetry. Okay, very good, guys. Next is, what is this? It was a series of religion-driven military campaigns waged by much of Christian Europe against external and internal opponents. Tang. Campaigns, military campaigns, fighting. Mainly they fought against Muslims who were very powerful in the Middle Ages. What are we referring to? Is it Norman conquests? Is it the Crusades? Is it the Bloodless Revolution, or none of the above? You two babies are saying the correct answer. Ting, ding, 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 ting, ding, 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 ting, ding, ding, ding. It is the Crusades. Crusades, war between the Europeans and the Muslims and the non-Europeans, which was not good. Bad war. Isn't it? War is never good. Okay, let me ask you. Who fights in the cruise? Who has fought in the Crusades in Canterbury Tales? Ankita?
The Knight.
Very good. The Knight. Who wrote the anti-war novel Catch-22, Ankita?
Joseph Heller.
Catch-22 is by Joseph Heller. Who wrote the anti-war novel The Red Badge of Courage, Ankita?
Stephen Crane.
Stephen Crane. Very good. Okay. Who wrote the anti-war novel A Farewell to Arms, Ankita?
Ernest Hemingway.
Correct. Ernest Hemingway. Wonderful. There is an Indian writer who wrote about army because he was in the army. He wrote Distant Drum. Who wrote it, Ankita?
Manohar Malgaonkar.
Manohar Malgaonkar is right. Okay. Next question to you. Alan Lewis and Keith Douglas. Alan Lewis and Keith Douglas are writers who wrote about which war? Ankita?
Spanish Civil War or
No. Look at me. I'm giving you a clue.
World War II.
Correct. World War II. It is the Second World War. Alan Lewis and Keith Douglas. They are World War II poets. Siegfried Sassoon and Wilfred Owen are World War I poets. Right? Homage to Catalonia by George Orwell is set against which war?
Spanish Civil War, I think.
Correct. Homage to Catalonia is set against the Spanish Civil War. Very good. Do you know which painting of Picasso famously depicts the destruction of the Spanish Civil War?
Guernica.
Guernica is correct. Picasso's Guernica. Very good. You seem to be an expert on war and anti-war, Ankita. Okay, what is the infamous war in Nigeria, which has been written by many women and men also, such as Chimamanda Adichie Ngozi Adichie, which is the war in Nigeria. She wrote Half of a Yellow Sun about it.
Mau Mau Rebellion?
No, Mau Mau Rebellion was in Kenya against the British.
Kenya.
This is Biafran War.
Biafran War.
Yes. Biafran War or Nigerian Civil War. Will you remember, everybody? Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie wrote Half of a Yellow Sun about the Biafran War. Okay, very good. Proud of you. Okay, this disaster, oh my God, another disaster, ravaged the Middle East and Europe. It forms the backdrop of Boccaccio's Decameron. I am sure you know it. What is it? Is it the Great Famine of 1517? Is it Black Death of, not 1317? Famine 1317, Black Death of 1348, 100 Years War of 1337, Fall of Constantinople of 1453. You two babies, it is your turn. You have to answer. What is the disaster which is the backdrop of Boccaccio's Decameron? Yes, it is the Black Death. The Black Death. Okay, Ankita, which novel by Ben Jonson is set against the plague?
The Alchemist.
Right. In The Alchemist, Lovett is leaving the town, leaving his house due to the plague, and Subtle and Faze are cheating everyone. That is The Alchemist. Very good. So this is the Black Death. This event was described in John Gower. John Gower is a contemporary of Chaucer. John Gower is the dedicatee of Troilus and Cresside. Remember, this event was described in John Gower's Vox Clamantis. You can see a king here. The king is getting somebody beheaded. Which event is that? Is it 100 Years War, the Peasants' Revolt, the Famine, or Fall of Constantinople? You two people are going crazy now because they know the answer. John Gower's Vox Clamantis talks about the Peasants' Revolt. The Peasants' Revolt of which year, Ankita?
It was 1381.
Correct. Peasants' Revolt of 1381. Peasants' Revolt, a very important event in which Wat Tyler, the leader of the peasants, was beheaded. All right. Okay, next question. Printing was brought to England during the reign of this king. Namaskar, king. Who are you? Are you Henry the IV? Are you Henry the V? Are you Henry the VI? Are you Henry the VII? Sorry, Edward the IV. Which of the kings brought printing to England? Ting, ting, printing, ting, ting, printing. I know it is William Caxton. Guys, I'm talking about king here. Why are you saying William Caxton? Which king? Yes, you said it. It is Edward the IV. Edward the IV. This was the time of Wars of the Roses. Wars of the Roses, 1455 to 85. Edward the IV and his brother Richard the III were the enemies of Henry the VI. Henry the VI was Lancastrian. Edward the IV was Yorkist. Richard the III was Yorkist. Richard was beheaded by Henry VII, Henry Tudor, and Tudor dynasty was established. Wars of the Roses ended with the establishment of the Tudor dynasty. Ankita, who was the last monarch of the Tudor dynasty?
It was Queen Elizabeth the First.
Tundadang, 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 correct. After the Tudor dynasty, who came? Which dynasty?
The Stuart dynasty.
Tundadang, 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 correct. After the Stuart dynasty, which came?
Hanoverians.
Tundadang, tundadang, tundadang. It is Hanoverian dynasty, correct. Tudor dynasty, Stuart dynasty, Hanoverian dynasty. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, moving on. Dash was the first book to be printed in the Westminster Press. Is it King James Bible? Is it Canterbury Tales? Is it the Dicks and Sayings of the Philosophers? Or is it none of these? Maybe it is Mahabharata. It is none of these. Answer is Mahabharata. That was printed in the Westminster Press. No, you two babies are saying it is Canterbury Tales. That is the answer. देखो कितना मुश्किल था printing उस समय. Oh, you're here pulling and printing like this. Today, we just press the button, ching, 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 printing is done. Isn't it so easy? Okay. On eloquence in the vernacular is an essay written by Dante. This man with laurels on his head, Dante. It was ironically written in which language? He is saying we should write in the spoken language. Vernacular means spoken language. He's saying we should write in the spoken language, and he's ironically writing it in which language? You two babies are saying Latin. Is it correct, Ankita?
Yes, it's Latin.
Ironically written in Latin. Very good. Guys, when I am alone, I am so boring because there is nobody to talk to. I am just like this teaching. But when somebody else is there to talk to, I am like excited. Did you like this method, guys? Okay. Somebody asked me in YouTube, don't call your students guys. But you are not my students. We are all learning together. I am not your teacher. We are all students. We are all classmates. Okay. Ankita, Kalyani, you two babies, all are classmates. Okay. Which work among the following can be attributed to the father of humanism? Wo kaun tha father of humanism? Is it Dante? No. Is it Boccaccio? No. Is it Petrarch? Yes. Which is the work by the father of humanism? Is it Canzoniere, Petrarch? Familiar letters, did Petrarch write? Is it both A and B or none of the above? Ankita, do you know?
It's both A and B. Both these works were by Petrarch.
Petrarch wrote Canzoniere, a book of poetry. Petrarch wrote familiar letters. Petrarch wrote the Epic Africa. Will you remember? Petrarch wrote the Epic Africa also. Okay. All right. Okay. Both A and B correct. Which work by Chaucer parodies Dante's Divine Comedy? Which work by Chaucer is a parody of Divine Comedy? In Divine Comedy, the author is going places. Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. Like that, in which work by Chaucer is the dreamer going to different places? Is it House of Fame, Legend of Good Women, Book of the Duchess? None of these. It is the House of Fame. First, in House of Fame, the dreamer goes to a temple made of glass. From the temple made of glass, he is emerging into a desert. From the desert, he is carried off by an eagle to a tower of ice. From the tower of ice, he is going to the House of Fame. From there, he is going to the House of Rumor. Why I am able to remember, you know? Do you know why I am able to remember? Because I see this in my mind like a feature film. All the time, one feature film should be running in your mind. You should have your own OTT platform in your head where movies are running one after the other. Like that, if you have visual memory, you will never forget. Okay? So what is the answer? That we didn't say. It is House of Fame. House of Fame parodies Dante's Divine Comedy. Okay, which pilgrim among the following preached only what he practiced? Or practiced whatever he preached? Is it Pardoner, Parson, Summoner, Franklin? Ankita?
I think it's the parson.
The pilgrim who preached only what he practiced is the parson. He was a very good parson, the brother of the plowman. Remember? Good. Which pilgrim stole corn by pushing the scales with his thumb? And hence he is said to have a golden thumb. Is it the merchant, the miller, the manciple, or none of the above, Ankita?
I think it was the miller.
Ta-da-dang, correct. It is the miller who pushed the scales with his thumb. Correct. Which work among the following begins with a vision of the world from Malvern Hills? Wow, what an amazing hill, Malvern Hills. Is it Confessio Amantis, Pius the Plowman, Revelations of Divine Love, or none of the above? Ankita?
I think it's Pious Plowman by William Langland.
It is indeed Pious Plowman by William Langland, who begins on Malvern Hills. The dreamer is sleeping. He sees Malvern Hills on one, and he sees a field full of fog. On one side of the people, there is a tower of truth. On the other side, there is the dungeon of wrong. All these things he's dreaming in the first vision of Pius the Plowman. Ankita, Pius the Plowman is divided into parts. Each part, do you remember?
Visio and Vita.
Visio and Vita. And each section of Visio and Vita, it is called?
Passes.
Passes or steps.
Huh.
Passes or steps. Okay, very good. Pius the Plowman. Toxophilus was the first book on dash by Roger Ascham. Toxophilus. Dekho, picture mein kya dikh raha hai? What is there on the picture? Is it fishing? Is it archery? Is it wrestling? You can't wrestle on a horse, right? It must be what, Ankita?
It's archery.
Correct. Hey, Toxophilus is the book on archery. Who wrote a book about fishing, Ankita? Do you remember?
I think it was Isaac Walton.
Isaac Walton wrote The Complete Angler on fishing. That is right. Do you know which critic wrote about wrestling, Ankita? Roland Barthes.
Roland Barthes. Yeah.
Roland Barthes wrote about wrestling. Did you know that? He was not a wrestler though. Okay. Oh, kya hai ye? Who among the following produced the first English dictionary of classical Latin? Ayyo, is it John Gower? John Lydgate? King James the Sixth? Or Thomas Eliot? I think it is a humanist. Which humanist? He also wrote the book named The Governor. Kaun hoga? Ankita?
It's Thomas Eliot.
Thomas Eliot is correct. Thomas Eliot wrote the book named The Governor. He also produced the first English dictionary of classical Latin. Dash is the subject of Hilary Mantel's Booker Prize winning novels, Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies. Who is the subject? This man. Oh, aise baitha hai. Is it Thomas Cranmer? Is it Thomas Cromwell? Is it Thomas Eliot? Or none of the above? Bolo, Ankita.
It is Thomas Cromwell. He was the chief minister to Henry VIII.
Chief Minister to Henry VIII. This is called Thomas Cromwell Trilogy. Isn't it, guys? Very good. Thomas Cromwell. Dash was the first anthology to be published in English. Is it Total's Miscellany? The Canterbury Tales? The Schoolmaster? Utopia? Easy question. Last question. Easy question. What is the answer? Everybody say it together. Ankita, it is...
Total's Miscellany.
First anthology to be published in English is Total's Miscellany. When was it published? 1557. Very good. 1557. Very, very good. So that brings us to the end of this amazing discussion. I am saying it is amazing. Ankita, did you feel it is amazing?
Yeah, it was very exciting. Very exciting.
You were laughing all along. You too, babies. Did you love the session? If you loved the session, remember to like the session and also press the bell icon and also to share it among your friends. Okay, will you share it among your friends? It will be a great help for all of us. Bye-bye. I will be back with the second day of net study plan. Every day for 30 days. In between, I'll take break. You will also need break, but mostly every day will do until the net exam. Theek hai? Will you like that? Okay. Good night. All blessings to you. Study well, starting from Greco-Roman period. Everything will cover. Theek hai? Bye-bye. Good night. Tell them goodbye, Ankita. They are waiting to hear from you.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Okay, bye.